Maddie Killian is a student of Blackfoot High School who is developing a profile of popular students for her school, and currently she's interviewing Alexis Anderson, her childhood friend, as well as the hot leader of the cheerleading squad. Maddie and Alexis were close friends and attended the same gymnastics class, but they grew distant as they pursue their different interests. However, Maddie still thinks of Alexis as her good friend. While filming Alexis's day as a cheerleader, Maddie asks her about cheerleading and the pep squad. Alexis tells her how it is important to remain fit, highlighting cheerleading being the most dangerous sport that can lead to catastrophic injuries. Unfortunately, on the same day, Alexis dies by breaking her neck when her teammates fail to catch her on time while performing some stunts. It hasn't been too long since Alexis is dead, but Terry, the captain of the football team who had been dating Alexis, has already found another girl. Furthermore, it's Tracy, another school cheerleader. Once the school resumes, the cheerleading squad calls for an audition to fulfill the open spot, but they did not expect the once a nerdy girl, Maddie, to take part in it. And to their surprise, she not only manages to impress them, but she also secures the position with her amazing acrobatic skills. After joining the squad, Maddie's fashion style completely changes and she no longer is an outcast. She becomes closer with Tracy, Martha, and her little cute sister Hannah. Later that night, as Maddie's about to leave for the pool party, Lena, her ex-girlfriend, comes over to her house to talk. She shares with Maddie that she named her kitten Little Madeline after her, and the kitten got sick out of nowhere. People see Lena as a weirdo as she talks about magics and signs. Just as she mentions Alexis's death, Maddie gets angry and shouts at her, but just then Lena secretly puts something inside Maddie's bag, and seconds later Tracy comes to pick Maddie up and they drive away. It's an all-girls pool party where guys are not allowed. When the boys from the football team show up, Martha stops them right at the entrance, reminding them about the Blackfoot tradition. Terry explains that he's visiting only to drop something off for Tracy. Now Terry gives Tracy a bracelet. He tells her he has found it somewhere and that it is broken. But with all the love, Tracy accepts it and assures him that she can make it work. She does ask where he found it, but Terry doesn't answer her. On the other hand, Tracy comes back and happily shows the bracelet to Maddie. At the sight of the bracelet, Maddie shows a troubled expression. She hesitantly tells Tracy that she'd seen Terry with another girl during the summer. Later that night, Tracy bawls her eyes out on the parked car. Maddie is there to comfort the heartbroken Tracy, and during these fleeting moments they kiss, and Terry, who's supposed to be with the guys, witnesses them sharing the kiss. Late at night, Maddie drops off Tracy at her home and walks home alone. On her way back, she finds a voodoo doll wrapped in a lock of hair in her bag. She instantly throws it away. Also, she feels like she's being followed by a car. And when she stops and looks back, the car speeds up. The next morning, Terry can't get the image of the girls kissing out of his head and gets agitated. Now, the night before the senior year officially starts, the cheerleading squad and football team are throwing a party behind a cemetery. However, Terry's nowhere to be seen, and instead they have an uninvited guest watching over them. Meanwhile, Hannah sees Lena at the High Rock just at the periphery. She goes over and sees that Lena's sitting in front of the spreading crystal stones and doing something. When she asks what's going on, Lena tells her that she's focusing on protecting someone with those special energy stones. With growing curiosity, Hannah approaches Lena but gets scolded by her. Immediately, Hannah apologizes and is about to leave when the guilt-ridden Lena calls her back. Now, Lena asks Hannah to spread the stones on the ground. Then she shows Hannah 3 stones that represent Hannah herself, someone close to her and someone close to them. Lena tells her to focus on anything she wants, but warns her to be prepared for the consequences. Hearing this, Hannah looks at Manny, who she has been crushing over all these years. And even though Manny is her sister's boyfriend, she focuses on him and the stones. Meanwhile, as Maddie notices Lena looking in her direction, she whispers something in Tracy's ears and they both disappear into the woods. But soon Lena follows them and sees them making out. Now Hannah's stone is just starting to glow when another stone shines brightly, and just then an outraged Lena arrives who abruptly collects all the stones and leaves. Almost at the same time Terry makes his entrance, he announces the rule of no socializing with the cheerleaders and gathers all the boys to his side. The girls are dumbfounded by his sudden announcement, and Maddie encourages Tracy to speak up on behalf of the girls. Before everyone, Tracy humiliates Terry for not being able to satisfy her with his tiny manhood and tells him that Maddie was able to do so just a moment earlier. Moreover, Maddie flashing the bracelet in the background provokes Terry so much that he punches the blabbering Tracy right in her face. With this blow, she collapses on the ground for a moment. The boys are equally stunned by his action, and with the incident and so many witnesses, Maddie tells Terry to be prepared to let go of his football career. When no boys come forth in defense of girls, Martha decides to call the cops, but Terry snatches her phone to prevent her. Furthermore, things escalate pretty fast when Tracy regains consciousness and charges at him. Now the boys hold the furious Terry away from the girls, and Martha pulls the girls to the car. Despite Vic's attempts to stop him, Terry sets off in his car to pursue the girls, and with this the other boys reluctantly follow behind him. However, Terry's recklessness leads to a collision with another car that veers off the road and plunges into the river below. Although Vic tries to help the girls, the panicked boys drag him away, fleeing the scene. Meanwhile, Lena, who's been crying inside her car, hears the loud crash and sees the car slowly drowning in the water. She quickly rescues all the girls from the water and attempts chest compression on Maddie while discarding her stone pouch. But after her efforts fail, she mourns over Maddie's lifeless body. The blood from the girls slowly flows towards the scattered stone and gets absorbed by them. Her desperate cries activate her power, and she observes the stone trembling. Lena then bites her hand and spreads the blood over the stones. Through her frantic plea, the stones follow the path of the blood and enter the girls' bodies through their wounds. The final stone then lodges in Lena's throat, resulting in all the girls being resurrected. The next day, the girls wake up at Lena's house but discover that Hannah and Martha's bodies have been somehow switched. On the other hand, while waking up, Tracy's reflexes cause her to throw little Madeline, ultimately killing the little animal. But later, Maddie watches as Lena revives the kitten. Now, as the cheerleader girls are trying to figure things out, the hungry Tracy couldn't find anything to eat at Lena's, so she walks to the house across the street. She then proceeds to drink the milk from Larry's kitchen. However, the milk no longer satisfies her hunger and throws up. Meanwhile, Lena reveals that all four of them died the previous night, but the girls do not believe her. Only when the girls realize that they do not have a heartbeat and their injuries glow a certain light. They are convinced that they died and are brought back to life by Lena. On the other side, Tracy displays super strength and pokes a hole in Larry's throat. The remaining girls also arrive at Larry's house and they suck every ounce of Larry's blood, leaving him bone dry. At this point, Lena's ecstatic because she's finally succeeded with her Wicca magic. And on top of all this madness, today's also the first day of senior year, which Tracy's not going to miss out on. Back in school, the boys do not seem to be affected by the incident from the previous night, except Vic, who's been crushing over Maddie. He goes to talk about it to a teacher, but the grand entrance of the cheerleaders halts him. All the boys are petrified, looking at them walking through the hallway. Hannah and Martha's bodies starting to enjoy all the attention that she's receiving. Taking full advantage of her new appearance, she pulls her crush Manny into the handicap bathroom and proceeds to have a steamy time. When Hannah reaches climax, it causes Maddie, Martha, Tracy, and Lena to experience the same thing because they're all linked by the power of the stone. Maddie was in the middle of warning Terry when she suddenly collapses on the ground, grabbing her stomach, and just then the boys see the glow on her back. On the other hand, Tracy was getting high with Ben, and when she rubbed the forehead wound, the stone appears out of nowhere. As she starts moaning simultaneous with Hannah's climax, the stone pierces right in the middle of Ben's eyebrows, which ends up killing him. And with his death, all his blood starts to flow towards her. The most embarrassing experience is faced by Martha in Hannah's body as she gets on her fours and starts moaning in front of a hallway filled with students. Lena is also seen by two boys as she collapses on the floor, moaning her brains out. Confused about things happening to her, Maddie goes to ask Lena what's going on, and finally Lena answers that somebody got laid and the other girl killed a person in the school. Tracy also arrives there and Lena forbids the girls from sucking blood inside the school premises. Meanwhile, Terry's been listening to their conversation and sees Lena put her stone pouch inside her locker. Next, Martha sees Hannah and Manny come out of the bathroom together and feels betrayed. A while later, she approaches Manny and tells her that Martha wants to see him in private. He happily follows her, not knowing what is coming next. And once they're away from the students, Martha asks him how he could sleep with her sister. Manny's confused by her question and tells her that Martha's his girlfriend, and also asks her not to be like her bossy sister. But after hearing this response, she bursts up with anger, starting to chase him in the woods. And when Martha catches him, with her superhuman power, she throws Manny up in the air, slamming him into a tree. Later, Lena finds that the stone pouch is missing from her locker and suspects it to be the work of Terry. She tells Maddie that they need to get out of the school right now, but seeing starved Maddie sluggish, she lets her suck her own blood first. The girls gather at Lena's house and everyone's on the edge. Tracy and Martha clash over the cell phone, so Maddie allows Tracy to use her laptop. Hannah goes downstairs to call Manny and hears the phone ringing upstairs. And when she realizes what Martha's done with Manny, she walks outside crying. Now, when Maddie comes back from the shower, the girls are looking at her video diary taken after Alexis's death. Maddie's talking about how she does not like the girls from the squad and especially bashes Tracy. She has also talked about taking revenge on Terry. Tracy's devastated by it since she has genuinely started liking Maddie. She then asks Maddie if Terry cheating on her is true, and after she's answered with silence, Tracy walks out of the house. Feeling bad for her, Martha follows her outside, but she couldn't catch up with her as Tracy drives away in Larry's car. In Lena's room, Lena asks Maddie what Terry's done to her, and Maddie slowly opens up about going to Terry after Alexis's death because she wanted to interview her friends to make a tribute video for her. But when she rejected Terry's advancing move on her, he brutally mistreated her, and on top of that, the broken bracelet was also hers. Meanwhile, Terry and George catch Hannah alone. They drag her to the van and cut open her stomach to expose the glowing stone. But with this, the girls get affected all at once, and when the nearby Martha finds them, she ruthlessly kills George, and the scared Terry swallows the stone. After that, he also gets these superhuman strengths. In the next scene, Terry drives by Lena's house where Vic has also arrived to look for Maddie. In front of those three, Terry reveals mistreating Maddie that summer. Now, in order to chase Terry, Maddie needs to replenish her strength, so she feeds on Vic. Meanwhile, Tracy notices Maddie and Lena chasing Terry's van, and she also follows them. As they chase after Terry, the girls arrive at the cemetery ground, but they're too late to save Martha. He has already consumed her stone and is now fleeing deep into the forest. Now, while running after Terry, Tracy falls into one of his traps and gets ensnared by a bear trap. While all this is going on, Maddie follows closely behind and sacrifices herself by disarming all the bear traps to save Tracy. Meanwhile, Terry grabs hold of Lena and asks her how to use those Wicca stones. He even threatens to carve that stone out of her throat. As expected from this monster, he hits Lena with his knife. When she attempts to run away now, Terry is about to kill Lena. Just when Maddie comes to her rescue, moments later, seeing Terry overpowering her friend, she concentrates all her focus on the stones. Shortly, all the stones start to gather and the glowing stones start whirling in the air. The stones inside Terry are also forced out, tearing his stomach. But during this battle, Maddie's stone is also no exception. A while later, one stone returns back to Lena. One penetrates into the earth, and the remaining fall on the ground. Once again, Maddie is dead, yet the desperate cries of Lena bring her back to life, and they share a passionate kiss. Just then, a hand pierces through Terry's dead body, and as the girls look at this scene in horror, a wicked, semi-alive corpse rises from the dead and screams out Lena's name. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.